Show of hands. Who believes conservatives spend more on defense than liberals? Okay. Who believes liberals spend more on defense than conservatives? Okay.
Who knows?
Who believes conservatives spend more than... Okay.
Well, is there a way to accelerate our spending to get to 2% to satisfy NATO and perhaps other folks?
Show of hands. Who believes conservatives spend more on defense than liberals? Okay. Who believes liberals spend more on defense than conservatives? Okay.
Who knows?
Who believes conservatives spend more than... Okay. When we took office, I mean, it's almost in the DNA of the public posture of parties. People think, oh, if you want to talk security and defense, yeah, you got to go a little more right wing on that, because it's the right wing that invests in military and police and security issues. Well, that's baloney. When we took office, our spending on the military as a proportion of our GDP was below 1%, going further from the 2% target that NATO was expecting. So we turned that around. We actually properly invested in the Irving shipyards to actually deliver on that naval strategy that is so important, not just for here, but for the country. We have doubled defense spending in our plans in the first years we got elected with a defense spending plan. And then we're now in a position of tripling our defense spending by 2030. We will reach 2% by 2032, according to NATO's numbers, because the world is more complex, more challenging, and yes, more dangerous. And Canada particularly has to do a better job of stepping up to protect the Arctic. And we are doing it. I have laid out a plan to do it. It includes submarines. Yes, I know Halifax is pitching to maintain those submarines once we buy them. We have a plan in place on it. You know who doesn't want to talk about defense spending? Pierre Poilevre. He doesn't have any plan. He hasn't committed to reach 2% anytime soon, not certainly by 2032. And in a parenthesis on national security and taking those things seriously, you should all wonder, why is it that Pierre Poilevre, who made such a big deal about foreign interference last year, talked about it every single day, and the threats to Canada and threats to democracy, won't even take a top secret briefing from our intelligence agencies on threats to his own party. He has refused to get the security clearance necessary to be briefed up by CSIS on foreign interference threats to Canada and to our democracy. Even the separatist, Yves-François Blanchet, the leader of the Bloc Québécois, accepted to take Canada's security clearance and briefing. But Pierre Poilevre won't. Why? Because he would rather play politics with national security than actually get briefed up on the facts of real threats that Canada is facing. So don't talk to me about, not you, but in general, don't talk to me about conservatives and defense spending or conservatives and national security. They're just not showing any responsible leadership. They're playing politics. They're very good at it. You can just look at the polls and see that that's working. But will it hold to be able to be resolved? I continue to believe that the best solution is going to come at the bargaining table, but everyone at Canada Post, and the minister is meeting with both sides regularly, needs to know this is hurting Canadians, this is hurting small businesses and people right across the country, and it is endangering the long-term viability of Canada Post as a service that Canadians rely on. Because if we go through a complete Christmas season and everyone figures out alternatives to it, even if we're bringing out donkeys, to, whatever solutions people are trying to figure out, if you break trust in an institution, it's really hard to rebuild it. So we are putting all the pressure we possibly can, and will continue to, on Canada Post to resolve this with its workers as quickly as possible.
Appreciate
What
it.
will be an election year next year, and my only request for everyone is to be really thoughtful and go into the choices you make with eyes wide open. I think there's a number of folks in different countries, and I won't point out any particular one, where folks are going to be wondering about the choice they may be made in elections. Let's not be that kind of country in Canada. Let's be deliberate about the choices we make. If we want to stop fighting climate change, if we want to re-legalize assault-style weapons, if we want to put back into question women's rights, if we want to scrap $10 a day childcare across the country and stop delivering free dental care to vulnerable seniors, then in a democracy, that's a choice people can make. Get rid of the CBC, too. That's a choice people can make. But let's take on the responsibility as electors, as thoughtful agents of change in our communities, to be smart about, no matter how much we want change, let's not fall into an easy trap of voting for change for the worse.